right. Aloha kakahiaka, everyone. I'm Peter K. Today is March 4th, and you are on the Aloha Friday Hawaii Real Estate Show. Welcome. We are in the pregame show, so if you are watching this recorded, you can scroll forward about 5 minutes or so if you want to skip all the fun. But then you're going to miss on all the fun. Like you're gonna miss out on all the fun that I'm having with my friends over here. We got Dylan Onaka, who's hailing us from the Big Island. We got Scott Startzman, who is on our expert on Oahu, but today he's in a secret location and we can't tell you where he is, but you can guess. And then we have Heidi, who is hanging out in Maui with a great cup of coffee. And we have to recognize that we got Jim, who's like in the first guy in line. Jim, God bless you. You came in 38 degrees in New York City. Hope you're okay over there. It's always fun to have 38 degrees in New York City while it's a balmy. It's a little cold this morning. Let's actually check. What's the temperature, gang, in Hawaii? And then yes, he couldn't be helped. Jim, we are glad that you are here, buddy. As is Diane. Diane is enjoying okay. 86 from Naples, Florida. Not bad. And of course, Auntie Joyce, sunny and just perfect on the Big Island. Auntie Joyce, what's the temperature right now on the Big Island? Share that with us, please. Sunny and just perfect on the Big Island. It's always perfect on the Big Island. So why don't we kind of do our little audio check and warm up the microphones and get the audience kind of warmed up here. Let's do counterclockwise. We're going to do Heidi, then Scott, then Dylan. Heidi, what's going on? How are you doing? What's the coffee? What's happening?
I'm doing great. I already had my morning coffee, sitting out on the lanai watching some whales. I'm on to water now because I've had my coffee, but I wanted to mention if anybody's on Maui upcountry, there's this really great espresso bar called Crema. It's all organic, super high quality coffee. It's really just a great place to hang out. So there's lots of great coffee shops on Maui, but just wanted to give a shout out to those guys.
We got to do like an on location sponsor one of these days. We got to figure this out. Some coffee shop somewhere. We should do like the live show would be kind of really fun. Thank you, Heidi, for the update. I was just kind of scrolling through everybody. Auntie Joyce, 71 degrees at 1,100 feet above sea level in Holualoa, which is awesome. We had a couple of other people kind of chime in as I was kind of scrolling through. Neil has joined us from San Jose, and Sherman is from Tennessee. Aloha, Sherman. Welcome to the show. Welcome, Neil. And Tom, of course. Tom is the good old reliable Tom. Welcome back. And Tom's got a fun one because Tom's in the UK, which is like an 11-hour difference, I believe, or something like that. So it's like on the other side of the day for him, like 10 o'clock local. Tom, what's your local time there? Bernard is back. Hey, Bernard, welcome back, buddy. 37 degrees in New Jersey. Hopefully you'll be hanging out with us in the balmy 70 something over here. And Corey is on casual Fridays. Welcome, Corey. And Kinaya, who's an alumni member of the Islander Ohana, hanging out at Austin. Kinaya, I'm really glad that you came and are hanging out with us as well, as is Juliana. Welcome back, Juliana. Aloha Friday. And Bobby, who is an alumni member of the Islander Ohana, who made the move and hanging out and loving it. He's sharing his photos with us on our private group for his home on the Big Island, and bought through Dylan, which is totally awesome. Total member of the Ohana. Welcome, everybody. Scott, what's going on, buddy? Give us the mic check. How are you doing? What's happening?
I'm back at my rest and relaxation spot. I think this is the fourth time in a year I've come to this place, and just to chill out mode, get away. I have my vacation Aloha Friday shirt, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. I didn't plan very well for the for the show.
You're still looking good, man. You're still looking good, buddy.
But my computer's set up perfectly. I got a nice toaster right here, so I was able to elevate it and get everything all set up. That's how I had to improvise this morning.
Looking good. You got your mobile studio has done a good job. Your lighting is happening. You're looking spiffy, including the Jackson Hole, Wyoming shirt. Welcome, Dylan. What's going on, my man?
Yeah, just a beautiful day in Kona. I got my team outside in the office working and planning on some big things. So just a good energy Friday. Nobody's taking Friday off this week. We're working hard.
Working hard on an Aloha Friday, at least for the morning. Hopefully for me, it kind of falls off around after lunch. After lunch, it's all downhill.
This is super random, but like my favorite thing to do on Friday is our Outback here in town has unlimited soup and salad. So don't let everybody know and spoil the secret, but for like $9.99 you can get a French onion soup and a Caesar salad or a garden salad, or they got all this stuff. It's the best deal in town. And so, but because of COVID, they stopped opening for lunch, and then they just reopened a few months ago, just on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So the only day you can get your unlimited soup and salad is on Friday. So I got to come to town for that.
All right, man. Well, that's someone else that we have to pitch. We have to pitch the live show at the Unlimited Soup and Salad Bar at the local Outback. Yeah, that's a good one. Hey, we got some more friends. Patrick is in Germany. Awesome, Patrick. Welcome, buddy. I'm glad that you are here. And Barbara is joining us from North Idaho. Awesome, Barbara. What's the temperature in North Idaho right now? I am curious about that, Barbara. Would you chat that back to us, please? Scott, welcome, Scott. Scott is back. Scott is a member of the Islander Ohanas going through the current cohort with us, and giving a shout out to Heidi, Lone Star State. He's working with Heidi on finding their perfect home. 8 p.m. Okay. Thank you, Tom. 8 p.m. So it's 8 p.m. for Tom. Tom, buddy, that is some serious dedication. I hope you're enjoying your evening over there in the UK. And Jim David is welcoming us from San Diego. Awesome. Great. It's so much fun to kind of see everybody, throw the comments on. It's great. And a lot of times there's chat with each other, have a good time. Let's get this party started over here, because it's like 1 minute after the hour. So we are going to get going over here with our next thing, which I didn't do correctly. So I'm going to need to do it one more time. So I got to do it like this so I can kind of click through. Okay. Technical difficulties were there. Okay. Well, gang, remember I told y'all weeks ago, many shows ago, I said, look, by the time the State of the Union address, everything is going to be, COVID will be gone. It's amazing. The science behind presidential State of the Unions and wiping out viruses is really amazing. They should do a scientific research on how that actually works. It did work. Anyway, travel restrictions have been lifted. I got to do one more technical thing over here. I need to go to full screen so you guys don't get, there we go. So travel restrictions are going to be lifted. March 26th, as of March 26th, 2022, Governor Ige has said that the whole COVID thing, the Safe Travel app, checking if you've been vaccinated, checking if you've had a negative test result, all that stuff all goes out the window. We're done. Told you. You no longer will have to provide proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test, and that's all going to be gone. So that is hallelujah, it's over. But this is Hawaii, and we wear our masks in Hawaii, so that's going to continue. The mask mandate is going to continue. We are the Lone Star. We are the Lone Star state in terms of masking. The only state left in the country that is following some kind of science. What the science is, I don't really know, but there's some kind of science that says that masks work on some universe. Of course, surgical masks work. Tight-fitting surgical masks, of course, work. But those loose disco masks that we all wear, there's no science behind that. But anyway, that's beside the point. So right now, masking is still the case. So if you're going to come to Hawaii, you won't have, after March 26th, you won't have to do the safe travels, the COVID thing, which is going to be great. But you are going to still have to be aware for the mask. That may change. Another big story, we're going to talk about this later if we have some time. There's been this interesting timeshare loophole. There's this controversy that's evolving. There's a loophole that's coming on. It's starting out in Maui, where basically a company, you can buy a portion of it's like timeshare, but it's a loophole. But you can buy a portion of a house, but it's not legally considered a timeshare, because the house is like owned by an LLC organization. Anyway, we'll go into it, but it's causing some controversy on Maui, and some people are not too happy about it. V-shaped domestic recovery. It looks like Hawaii snapped right back. Hawaii is roaring back. Hawaii's economy is in good shape. Apparently, the only thing that's still missing is the international side because of all the COVID restrictions. By the way, Safe Travels app will not be required unless you're an international traveler, and then you'll have to show vaccination or negative tests. So those are some elements that are going to be flying on. And if you look at the weather, it's going to be amazing. We're looking in our high 70s over here, almost perfectly consistent weather that's kind of happening. So that's that. That's the quick news update. Got any questions? Pop them in the chat. Got any comments? Pop them in the chat. Let's move to our friends over here, and we're going to go clockwise now. We're going to go Dylan, then Scott, then Heidi for Dylan, any Big Island things you want to share, or Big Island real estate updates you want to share? It's kind of blended in with news and or real estate updates for the Big Island.
Yeah, the news today was it went public that iconic hotel here in town, right on Ali'i Drive, sold for 21 million. So it was kind of hadn't been maintained for the last few years, and so it looks like somebody's going to come in and redevelop.
Which hotel was that?
It's the Uncle Billy's Hotel. You know, the one right there by Kona Inn and right on Ali'i Drive.
Uncle Billy's. All right.
Yeah. So that was pretty big news. 21 million. Pretty big sale. There are a few homes that sell for close to that in the resort areas, but that's big real estate news on the island right now.
Wow, I was going to say 21 million. You should have listed that on. I hope that's going to be up on our Diamonds and Deals. But it's been sold already, so it's too big.
I think that was like might have been like an off market type thing. They did talk about they were going to sell it. They were trying to sell the whole shopping center. Also, the shopping center's across the street. So, yeah, but it's kind of an end of an era. You know, that was a local family, and Uncle Billy owned that for, I don't know. You know, Scott. I mean, probably 50 years or something like that. I mean, it's, you know, in the same local family. So now we got some outside investors coming in, but hopefully that whole area needed some, you know, some a facelift and some upgrades and stuff. So it might be good to have some reinvestment in the area.
Very good. Interesting. Okay. Maybe we have a technical issue. Uncle Jim here says that, Peter, it seems that not all voice is synchronized with the facial movement. We have words and no one speaking. Is anybody else getting that? If you are, please let us know. There's not much that we could do about it. I'm not getting any error messages on my end, but let us know, folks, if anyone else is seeing it's like a foreign movie, Chinese movie lip sync problem, but I assure you I'm not speaking Chinese. Okay. Thanks, Dylan. That's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. Scott, what's the latest on Oahu that you want to share?
Yeah, we'll see if I give the old kung fu real estate market update here with the delayed speech. Yeah, it's actually interesting. So, status quo, and I started talking about the condo side. Single family homes, active single family homes are at 399. We're still under that 400 threshold, which I've been wanting us to see us get higher on, so that we can actually have some inventory to choose from. And so therefore housing prices are still at 19% appreciation so far. And so the condo side is starting to surge. We were at a little more than 1,000 active condo listings prior to the end of the year. Then we were down to like last show, or prior to the last show, we were in kind of 960 range. Now we're at 940. So we're starting to see that inventory significantly disappear, and therefore prices are going up. And just to give an example of the mindset of the buyer and kind of what's going on, I did a ton of showings this past week on condos and single family homes and condos in Kaka'ako. And we were originally looking at the single family homes, and everything we were seeing in the $3.5, $4 million range still needed, there were very few options in any neighborhood. And then everything that was there still needed $800 to $1 million worth of renovation work. And so it started to not be as realistic, and the buyer that we were working with shifted and said, okay, let's look at condos now, as something that we can get into for the shorter term. And all the condos that we saw from Ala Moana to Kaka'ako, which are the newer kind of stuff, we probably saw 6 or 7. All the ones that were nice, 2-3 days on market, every single one of them had an offer on it. And we were competing with one. We didn't even get an opportunity. The seller selected an offer. We couldn't get our offer in on time. Then we pivoted to another. We did get into escrow, but it was the mindset was, that's a part of the reason why the surge is happening in the condo side, is because people are getting comfortable with it, and house prices have taken off, and there's such a lack of inventory right now that people are moving to the condo side because that becomes the natural opportunity. So therefore we should continue to see that surge in the condo side. But that kind of gives a little bit of a background of the mindset of what's going through some people's minds when they start getting out here in the market.
Like you said, it was gonna shift, and it is absolutely shifting. Let's catch up with a couple of comments that been popped over here. Spencer at NYC Kona, is that like you're going back and forth between NYC and Kona? Fill me in over there. Norman says 59 degrees and overcast in Livermore, California. Can't wait to get back to the islands where we have perfect weather. It's actually overcast right now, but it's Hawaii, man. And Judy is back with us. Welcome back, Judy. Judy is a member of the Islander Ohana and has been bought a home through Dylan, which has been awesome. And she's shared some beautiful photos. Great. But unfortunately, Judy is, she was, you know what, Judy was smart. Judy is smart. Is smart. Judy bought the home. She's currently on the mainland, but she's got the home and it's all set. So Judy's enjoying all the price increases. Helping her feel really good. Auntie Joy said, now, isn't that amazing? Lifting all restrictions on March 26th, my 75th birthday. We'll hang out with my masks. What a joke. Yes. Well, happy birthday, Auntie Joyce, on March 26th. Thank you for your birthday, because I'm sure there's a scientific connection between your birthday and the cause of the lifting of the restrictions. I'm sure there's a science about that somewhere. We're just going to follow, because we're going to follow the science. Thank you, Auntie Joyce, and happy birthday. Barbara says, okay, thank you, Barbara, for the update in Idaho. It's 41 degrees and cloudy, but snow is melting. Not good for skiing. Yeah, it's not good for skiing in Hawaii either. So we're on the same page with it there. Paul likes the trains. Paul has asked many questions about trains in Singapore. When can I ride the new train around Honolulu? I heard it was completed on time and under budget. Yeah, it's on time and under budget in Disneyland. Because that's not in Honolulu. A side note, don't get me started, because there's a very personal issue I have with the train project. I was involved in many a political campaign for many years fighting that project, but I lost. But the original, here's a fun fact, everybody. This is y'all gonna love this. So the rail project, when it was first announced, which was like a long time ago, 15 years ago, it was going to cost $2 billion. That was the cost. $2 billion was the original estimate. So everybody here, hey gang, here's some fun part. Let's just try this. Let's just have some fun. The original project was budgeted for $2 billion. What's the current estimate? Pop it in the chat. Pop it in the chat, gang. That was already spent, but what they're estimating it's going to cost now. Pop it in the chat. The original was $2 billion. Guess. Y'all tell me. We'll see how good you are. Not how good the guesses are. Because you're all wonderful. Jim, we've had Patrick says the no sound with the sync, so I think that we're good. Auntie Joyce, delayed speech corrected itself a few seconds ago on YouTube. That's why we do the warm up in the first 5 minutes, just to kind of get, and the wires have got to heat up and stuff, right? The internet's all got to start flowing. Any thoughts on using local home kit companies for new construction? Will a kit home be a problem with permitting? Let's hold on to that. We've talked about it a bunch of times, but we're gonna come back to that later. Spencer Ferrara. Spencer is going back and forth between New York City and Kona. Pretty cool, man. Are you flying in on a private jet and landing in Kona with like the rest of those rich guys that land with their Learjets? There's a whole bunch of Learjets in the Kona airport. That'd be cool. Is that Scott's home? Look awesome. Is it for sale? Scott, is that your home?
It is for 4 days, and then I got to turn it back over to somebody else. So.
For 4 days. For 4 days, it's his. Also, Ura, Dylan. There you go. That's military code, right? Dylan, please pronounce that correctly, because I didn't do it right.
Ura works. Yep. That's every branch has a different. I guess what would you call it? It's like a universal term, right? It's like a term of endearment, a term of celebration. But Ura is the Marines.
Ura, the Marines. Awesome.
Yeah.
Ura. My dad is a Marine.
The Army is Hua, so it's similar but different dialect, right?
Got it. So it's Hoorah versus Ura.
Correct.
Awesome. I'm getting it. One of my great regrets was not serving in the military. Anyway, thanks, Spencer. Jason guessed at 6. Dave is guessing at 10. Auntie Joyce is guessing at 26. Okay, good. The guesses are coming in. You all getting there. And then Barbara says 8. Good. Norm says 10. Good. Yeah, you're all. So never doubt the intelligence of the Ohana that comes with us on the live show on Friday. Excellent. Heidi, give us the update. What's Maui? Give us some Maui news, Maui real estate, Maui, anything you want to share.
Sure. Well, as far as real estate, I wanted to add to what Scott said about the condo market, because we are seeing that on Maui as well. As the price of single family homes has gone up and up, more people are looking at the residential condos now. So I think the important thing for buyers to look at is the goal should be to get a good value in the current market. And because in the market we're in, if you go back a year ago or 6 months ago, you're never going to be able to, I mean, those just simply are not the comps today. And I mean, people have been doing that for years, looking, well, back a year ago or back 2 years ago, prices were this. Really, what we should be looking at is all the other options on the market or recently in contract, to kind of determine what the value is. But it's been fun. It's fast moving. I mean, in the past, when I had buyers coming to Maui to look at properties, I would set up showings a week in advance, and now I, just wait till they get here, and then, yeah, I mean, the morning of, look at what's on the market that day. So it continues to be fun.
Continues. That's a good positive way of putting it, Heidi. Good. Yes, it continues to be fun. Hey, everybody. I got a quick, first of all, Christopher Longley has joined us. Aloha kakahiaka. Welcome, Christopher. And Scott's here. Hello. Tran and I are so ready for the Maui condo. I've got the slide ready. Scott, thanks for sending that, because we're going to talk about that. So Scott has brought up, I think that's a relevant topic. I got a quick question for the Ohana that's out there. Have you been sort of were you going for to try to buy a house in Hawaii recently, and did you kind of lose the position? I'm curious about that. If you have, please let us know, because I got a topic about that I want to chat with, if it's the case, if we got anybody who's been priced out recently. If you've been, in other words, you've been working with Scott or Dylan, whatever, and if you've been priced out, hasn't happened. If you have, let us know, because Dylan, you want to say something?
Yeah, Heidi brings up a great point, and I'm going to do a vlog on this, so I'll give you a preview. But we've been dealing a lot lately with, I'm going to do a video on the three things that you shouldn't be taking into account when you make an offer on a house, right? Because we get this from buyers all the time, where one is they look at what the current owner bought it for, right? And nobody cares. That's irrelevant, right? If they bought it 5, 6, 7, 10 years ago, what they bought it for and how much money they're making, it's irrelevant in the market value today. The second one is the tax assessed value. People love to look at the tax assessed value and say, well, the county only assesses it for X, but they want Y, right? And there's always a lag in that. It's never a good marker of market value. And then the third thing is how much you want to pay, right? I mean, or what's what you think it's worth, right? Because at the end of the day, it's what the market thinks it's worth. And there's a lot of buyers out there that are going to pay potentially more if they don't care what you think it's worth, right? So it's one of those things you got to kind of look at, is what doesn't count when you're making an offer on a house. And those are three things that you shouldn't get caught up in or overanalyze.
Dylan, just clip that out and put it on your vlog. You're done. You just did your vlog. You just did your vlog. It's all done. It's all done. All right. So while we're kind of on this topic of condos and stuff, Scott Boydston, who is with his wife Tran, his lovely wife Tran, ready for the Maui condo. He put a question for us, and I want to kind of bring it up and let's kind of talk about this, because I think it's a relevant one. So Scott says, we're working with Heidi regarding a condo purchase on Maui. So big shout out to Heidi and her patience and understanding with us as we navigate this big purchase in our retirement. Yes, awesome. You are, Scott, that yes, Scott, Scott, that you are working with like the best in the business in Maui. Here's the question for you, Heidi, Scott, and Dylan. Ideally, we would like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo because we would like to have room and privacy for guests when they visit. We would like the condo to be vacation rentable, as we'll be spending about half our time on Maui and the balance of our time traveling. Now, clearly a 1-bedroom is less expensive. A 1-bedroom, 1-bath is less expensive, but we're hesitant to go that route because of the lack of privacy for guests, assuming they would be sleeping on a sleeper sofa. I'm a very early riser and don't want noise in the kitchen making coffee to disturb our guests. What are the pros and cons of a 2-bedroom, 2-bath versus a 1-bedroom, 1-bath in this situation? Thanks, Peter, for you and your Islander Ohana, Scott, and Tran. So great question, gang. That you've heard Scott's question. Why don't we kind of start with Heidi on this one, and then we'll jump. We'll do Heidi and then Scott and then Dylan. What's your advice for Scott and his wife Tran? Heidi.
Well, I mean, I think it's really a personal decision. I mean, what's going to work for you? Something to think about is, who your guests are, how often they're going to be visiting you, because a lot of people overestimate how often they're going to be having guests. I mean, the other thing, which is, I mean, it's really more of a personal thing that only you can answer. But I mean, how long do you want your guests to stay? You might not want them to stay, make them too comfortable and stay weeks and weeks and weeks. It's a really common, I don't question, something people need to think about when they're buying. It's like, do you spend an extra 500,000, $1 million to have extra space for your guests? Or with that money, could you just rent them a place every time they visited you in the same, if the complex allows short-term rentals, you can probably find another condo close by that you could rent, which might work if the guests are maybe only coming once a year or so. But if you're going to have family that's going to come on a regular basis, I mean, I totally understand wanting to have more privacy. So, yeah, it's a good consideration. But the price difference, as you know, is significant sometimes between a 1 and 2 bedroom. I mean, it can be $500,000 plus decision there.
Now, the good news is that Scott Boydston is he's a CPA, so he can do math. He can do the math, and he could do the cost benefit analysis. Great analysis. Heidi, I'm going to throw in some stuff as well that we've touched on before. Scott, what's your advice for Scott and his wife?
Yeah, well, part of this comes down to price, right? 2 bedroom, 2 bath versus a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. All other things being considered should cost more. So, are your friends and family worth it? and by how much? And the other part is a lifestyle component, like you mentioned. It's the comfort component when people are there, not treading on each other. But do you really want to make them that comfortable and they stay longer than they're welcome for? But yeah, you can do the cost benefit analysis on the number of people coming to visit versus the price difference and see if it weighs out per head, right?
There's another aspect too, which is this is part of the calculations, of course, would be that if you're in a short-term vacation rental zone and you're going to be renting it, it's also going to be higher income. I don't know how that figures, but that's again part of your calculations. But what you're right, Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, there's actually, so that goes to an interesting topic. I had this discussion with my uncle many years ago, who he took me under his wing probably 23 years ago when I started getting into investing and stuff. And the conversation we had was, and that he had was, hey, he liked studios and 1 bedrooms because you're going to get a couple or a single individual. And the minute you start getting into 2 bedrooms and more, now you've got potentially 4 people in that space. You got 4 people taking a shower every day, 4 people, cooking in the kitchen. The wear and tear on it becomes greater. So therefore your maintenance costs and things go up and whatnot. So there is that capacity if you're thinking about it from the investment side, not just the occupancy and guests coming to visit.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Dave, thanks, Dave. HOA is also the homeowners association fees are going to be more on a 2-bedroom as well. Maintenance costs are going to be higher. Dylan, what's your advice for Scott and his wife Tran?
Heidi's advice was spot on. My opinion, I completely agree. People 100% of the time overestimate how much people will visit them. So if that's a huge driving factor in your decision making, you're probably way overestimating. I deal with this personally. My mom doesn't even visit me as much as I would like her to, and I have a huge room for her and a bathroom. I make that available to all my friends and family. And a lot of times people come to town and they don't want to impose, so they're going to go get a condo and stay in it anyways, right? So even if people do visit you, you kind of assume that they're always going to stay with you. And from the money standpoint, you don't even have to be talking about a lot of money, right? If you pay $100,000 more for an additional bedroom and it doesn't get used very much, how many condos can you rent for your friends for $100,000 over 20 years? I mean, you can spend $100,000 and buy you a lot of weeks in a vacation rental condo for a long time. And so sometimes, from an economic standpoint, it makes zero sense to have a room that sits empty 80-90% of the time when you could just offer to pay for a vacation rental inside of your complex or near your home or wherever it is. Yeah, and that was a good point about HOAs. You're going to pay potentially 30-40% more in HOA fees depending on the square footage, because it's all based on your square footage. And that's going to be a monthly cost forever in addition to whatever your purchase price is. And so that's something to think about too.
Yeah, great points. Scott and Tran, you guys are on. Give us your feedback. Any kind of follow up questions, or kind of has this changed your thinking, or how's this affected? What about the rest of you? Would you get knowing what you're hearing what you're hearing? What would you do? What would you do? Would you get the 1 bedroom, 1 bath that's good enough for you and your partner, or would you want to go for the 2-2 for guests that are visiting? What's your effect? I'd like to know kind of what you folks think, and I'm going to chime in on my end over there. We actually touched on this when we had the retirement question that we had one or two shows ago. And one of the questions was about family, and Dylan made the point that family ain't coming. Dylan, your mom not only your mom lives just on the other side of the island. She could drive to your house, right? And she doesn't visit, right?
Yeah, she lives 2 hours away. Like, she doesn't have to get in a plane or anything. So
there you go. So there you have it. Thanks, Scott. Excellent advice. Very confident that Heidi will help us navigate the situation. And Tran says she wants the 2-2, and she's the boss. Mom says 2-2. We're getting the 2-2, and that's just all there is to it. That's the ultimate override for everything. Look, Scott,
I would say the second bathroom is more important. Right. I mean, if at a minimum, because if you have just guests over to your place, do you want them going into your main bathroom? It's always nice having a guest bathroom, a 1-2 where you have a place for guests, or even just a 1.5, so you don't have to have them going into your main bathroom.
Like a shower stall or something, a half bath or something. Yeah, that's a really, really, really good point. That might be a compromise. I'll be curious, Scott and Heidi, what your experience has been with family visiting. Mine has been that no one. And I've got a big fat Greek family in Chicago, 30 plus. If I count my cousins, it's well over 30. Immediate like cousins and aunties, uncles, cousins, nephews. It's well over 30. Interestingly enough, a lot of my cousins came over once on their honeymoon, which was fun. Never see them again. God bless them. I've got 1 or 2 have come over like more than once. Maybe like twice, maybe 3 times. And I only have one and only one family member who comes over pretty much every year. And that's my daughter. That's it. Other than that, that's it. No one comes. Scott, Heidi, what's your frequency?
My parents haven't been out in 4 years. And then from everyone I grew up with in high school, I probably had 3 of them that have come out to visit. So I don't get guests very often, and it's exactly what you guys were saying, what Dylan was saying and Heidi. People don't come out that often. Our lives are too busy, and we got stuck. So, yeah.
Yep. I've got a video that I just got through recording that's going to talk about, like Dylan's vlog, 4 reasons why no one's coming. Heidi, what about you? What's been your experience? Are the folks from rural Illinois coming out to Hawaii to see you at all? You're muted.
Yeah, well, I've had very few visitors these last couple years, but it's also because of COVID and the travel restrictions. And when my family tends to come, they come in a big group that I could never accommodate at my place. So they end up renting a larger house or condo. And I do love having visitors and seeing people here. A lot of the people that have come to visit haven't stayed with me, even though we do have an extra bedroom for people and I've invited them. So it just depends. That's really kind of a personal question that everybody has to answer for themselves. Cause I know other people who are flying back and forth from California, every few weeks here, and have family visiting all the time. So, everybody's experience is going to be different, but I just wanted to add on the vacation rental aspect. A lot of people think that they should get a 2-bedroom because it's going to rent better. And on Maui, that's not necessarily the case. The property management companies report that the 1-bedrooms rent just as well or better than a 2-bedroom, because if it's only a couple or maybe a couple and a young child, they're probably not going to rent a 2-bedroom. So from, the purely rental perspective, a 1-bedroom is just as good. You don't have to get a 2-bedroom, but get a 2-bedroom if you need the 2 bedrooms or you want the 2 bedrooms for yourself.
See, I think, Heidi, that's, I mean, the simplicity and the essence of what you said is true, which is it's a personal kind of question. It really, really will vary. It really, really all depends because, like I said, my daughter comes every year. So, if, I know that, for example, my boss, my wife would probably want a 2-bedroom place because she'd want to have it so that the kids, quote, the kids can come over, but it depends on your family. Some people's family kids don't come over. Some people, some people's parents never come over. My parents haven't come out. Feels like 10 years at least. And they probably never will. It's just not their thing. And Scott says, agree, Peter. Our daughter and her husband will be our most often visitors. We can't seem to hide from our daughter. Yeah. So that's it. If your daughter's going to be hanging out, and look at if I was the daughter, I'd be wanting to hang out in Maui too. If my parents had a condo in Maui, damn, so, thanks, Heidi, for that insight. Yeah, exactly. So
one more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing to kind of take into the equation, right, is what are the other trade-offs? So what if you can get a really good view on the 1-1, but, a subpar view on a 2-2, but the price is the same? How much does that view matter to you? I mean, you're gonna enjoy that every single morning while you're having coffee or watching the sunset. Maybe it's an amenity like a tennis court or something. Maybe the one complex you can get a 1-1 with a great tennis court because you love to play tennis, and another one has a 2-2, same price but no tennis court. So those are the kind of things you want to kind of think about too, especially in the condo world, is other things that may bring you enjoyment over the long run that you're going to use on a daily basis because you won't have guests on a daily basis.
I think that's kind of the essence I'm catching of all this, right? The essence of it is, first and foremost, I mean, Heidi's fundamental point, I think, is the fundamental principle, which is it's a personal thing. How is your, know thyself, right? Know thyself, know thy family, know thy network, and kind of make some kind of a determination of that. That's number one. And number two is really kind of think through what the trade-offs are, right? What's the additional expense? What's it gonna, how much is it gonna cost? How often do you see things come? How often do you see family coming over to visit you? What's the and the alternative is you can rent a larger place for those times that they're going to visit, right? What's the additional? What's it going to cost? What are you getting out of it? What's the trade-off? How's it work? Etc. And and most importantly, like Auntie Joyce says, get the two bath. Get the two bath. That, like, bathroom is almost more important than the bedroom there. But those are all factors of it. And Scott is loving it. You guys are spinning gold today. That's for you, buddy. That is for you, my man. This is what this team does. This is like the gold spinning team, right? I love the diversity. I love the whole way that group works together. Uncle Jim here says, "Yep, smaller ocean front beats bigger unit a few minutes away." Absolutely, unless the smaller thing with the ocean view is not going to work for you if your children are coming out to see you, more often than once every few years, right? It all depends. Auntie Joyce agrees. Two bathrooms is key. My husband's has survived mostly because we never share a bathroom. Don't tell anyone, but same thing in our household too, man. Having separate baths is like winner. Good. Go ahead, Scott.
On Oahu, what's interesting in a lot of these condo high-rises that they're building now, they're actually providing guest suites that you can pay basically like $200, $300 a night, and you can block off for your guests to actually come and stay. They're actually in your condo building in a really nice, basically hotel suite. They have their separation of space, but yet you're in the same place. So then at that point, if this kind of question comes up here on Oahu, you can actually go for the 1-bedroom, 1-bath, add those extra components that you wanted rather than the 2-bedroom if it's just for guests, and put them down in the guest suites.
That's a feature. That's a cool feature. That is I have not heard of that. I've not heard of that, Scott. So
yeah, there's probably 15 towers now, 15 that have that component as an amenity.
Wow, that is awesome. Cool. All right, gang. I think I've been catching everybody. Let's go back to that earlier question about the kit homes. Let me pull this up so we can kind of hit this one really quick. Give me just sorry, gang, for the slight interruption. It was about kit homes. Here we go. So let's hit this one. So this is from Norm, and Norm says, any thoughts on using some of the local kit home companies for new construction. Will a kit home be a problem with permitting? So let's just qualify this so we can have, let's just scope our discussion here. We're talking about a local kit home company. So local company, local kit. How does that work? Will it be a problem with permitting? Why don't we do this? Why don't we kind of, let's see. Let's do a counter. How do we do it last time? Let's do clockwise. Dylan, Scott, and Heidi. Go, Dylan.
We see a lot of this.
Let's mix it up. Let's go with Scott first. And then, because Scott's in the middle of the clock, so Scott never goes first. So let's have Scott go first, and then we'll have Dylan, and then we'll have Heidi. Go, Scott.
I love this one. So there are material houses like HPM, for example, that has kit homes, and they've been doing them forever. And the interesting thing that a lot of people don't realize is you have a couple of different floor plans that you can choose from, and those plans have already been approved by Department of Planning and Permitting. So if you don't do any modifications to it, you have a very streamlined, simple permitting process through DPP, and you can actually get moving on that a lot faster. Obviously, the cons are.
Those are bird sounds, right? Just want to have it, those are that's not like nails on a chalkboard. That's actually a bird. Sorry, Scott. Go ahead.
The cons are you're limited to what your options are. The cons are also if you make modifications, you still get a little bit of a streamlined process, but obviously DPP has to review that at this point.
Man, that's a hell of a bird back there, man. That ain't no coqui frog. That ain't that's not that ain't no. Listen to that thing.
That's why I come here.
You gotta love that, man. You gotta love that. That's almost like there's like a is that like a an ambulance kind of driving by? That's kind of what it almost sounds like.
He doesn't like what I'm saying, probably.
I don't agree. But Auntie Joyce says great feature on that guest suite. Yeah, that's an excellent one. All right, why don't we mute Scott and then let's go to thank you. Whew. Love the bird. I'm sure it's great when you're there. I'm sure it's great when you're in person. Dylan, unmute and fill us in on what the question on that kit home.
Yeah, you definitely want to do some due diligence on where the kit home is coming from, because like Scott said, you do have these established companies, HPM, Hansador, that have been doing this for years, and they have pre-approved plans, or architect stamped. They have contractor partners that they'll refer you to that are familiar with building these. So it can be a very good option. But, just like overestimating guests, people always want to customize it, right? They want to get a kit home and then customize it and want to reap the benefits, but then they want to change stuff. So that's something that you kind of got to think about is, are you going to do that? Because you're going to give away some of the benefit of going with a package home, versus doing a custom home. But there's definitely a lot of advantages, and it happens all the time here. One of the things that you got to take into account is where you plan to build that home, because if it's in a neighborhood with an HOA and CCNRs, there may be specific restrictions, building guidelines, material guidelines, different things like that you want to sync up. So you don't want to kind of assume that you can do it and then buy a lot where you're going to have some conflicting regulations. So you're not going to have any issues with the county per se, because all of that stuff is built to code and designed, up to current standards. But you do have CCNRs that can be weird sometimes, height restrictions.
And CCNR stands for?
Covenants, codes, and restrictions.
Covenants, codes, and restrictions. Okay.
So you have some neighborhoods where, they require a certain kind of siding because they want the homes to have a certain look. They have a certain kind of roof material because they want the homes to have a certain kind of look. So sometimes there's a minimum square footage requirement. You got to do 2,000 square feet. So you definitely want to look a little bit deeper, where you're going to buy the land at to build the home, and then figure out and make sure that it all works.
So what kind of a before we get to Heidi, what kind of an expert would you need to have on your team? I'm assuming if you're going to buy the land, whatever land that you can buy, you want to buy it with a realtor who knows what they're doing, because you guys would know those CCNRs, and you'd be able to say, look, nice kit home, but it can or cannot work because even though the kit home is approved, the location you're looking at putting it may not work. So that's that first part. But what about, like, let's say that it's okay, then what? I mean, because you're not going to go to yourself to buy the kit and start hammering, right? Would you get like a project, like an architect to kind of run the whole who would you get to run the whole thing? How would that work?
The first safest step is because you can have conceptual designs and everything ready to go, is take that to the HOA and get them to approve it. Most HOAs will have a design review committee.
And
that
HOA stands for Homeowners Association.
Homeowners Association.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. So that's the thing, right? With all rules, laws, regulations, humans enforce it, right? And so you could read something and say, hey, this is the way I interpret it. But then a group of people who sit on the HOA board that actually have to approve it, read it a different way. So that's the safest thing to do, is to put it as a contingency in your contract that, the HOA design and review committee has to give you preliminary approval for the plans on what you want to do before you'll close. So that's the quickest, or the most for sure way. But yeah, you can definitely get an architect involved, a real estate attorney involved. You can go, down a deep rabbit hole with this. But at the end of the day, the HOA is going to have to approve whatever you're going to do if they have those restrictions.
Well, I tell you one thing, you definitely want to have, at the very, very least, a realtor like one of you guys to kind of guide through, because there's such a maze.
This is no longer an issue, I mean, especially in our market, right? But for years and years and years pre-COVID, we had these really nice neighborhoods that were built, subdivided and built, gated, some of them gated, 1 acre lots, and they were cheap, $300,000, $275,000, and people would always inquire and be like, wow, this is such a great deal. I can get an acre with a great view. And the reason that these sat on the market for a long time and never sold was those neighborhoods had very strict design and build guidelines, which made you build a house that was so expensive that a lot of time it priced people out. So even if you could get the lot for $300,000, if now you had to spend, $800,000-$900,000 on build because of the materials that you had to use and the size of the square footage and different things like that, you couldn't, people would assume, I can buy the lot for $300 and build for $300, and now I got a $600,000 property. And that wasn't the case. And so that's no longer a problem. Everything is pretty much sold in those areas now. But for years and years and years, that was a big downside to those types of communities, where they were they wanted the community to be upscale, but it hurt the value of the land because there wasn't as many people who wanted to buy and build that upscale house.
But no longer. That was then, and this is now. And as we said, we're not talking about the price that we're talking about now. Heidi, what's your sense of local kit homes? And you have anything? What would you like to add to the kit home issue? Is there anything specific about Maui that you have to think about? Are there considerations? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I would be really skeptical that any HOA community would allow a kit home. So if that's something that you're planning on doing, I would want to, look into that and see that could be approved in advance. There are kit homes on Maui. I've seen people do FabMac homes and other kit homes, and some of them are really nice. The considerations are the same with any other type of building project. If you're looking at land, where are the utilities coming from? You're going to need to be able to connect to utilities. Also, does the site need any kind of preparation prior to just plopping down a house there? Those are some of the same considerations you'd be looking into in any building project.
Well, I think one of the things I've heard you folks say, many, many, many times over and over and over again is that, the kid home or the that kind of stuff is all well and good, but it's so much cleaner if you can buy an existing home and on an existing property. That's so much of a cleaner way to kind of go. Better to take that and kind of do renovations or research the renovation on that than to kind of start with something. There's very little, kind of raw land these days that's buildable or easily buildable or not, not complex, etc. So that's part of what I'm kind of hearing here as well.
And Scott could speak to this more intelligently, but from a financing standpoint, you got to have a lot more cash available, and you got to be in a much better financed position. You're not going to do this whole thing, buy land and buy a kid house with 10% down, right? You got to have some reserves available. There's deposits that's got to be made. There's a lot that goes into it. And so you got to be in a different type of financial position than just buying a home where you can get a mortgage and, 5% down mortgage or 20%, even a 20% down mortgage.
Yeah. Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, I've actually been down this path a lot, significantly. Not only so, part of my thing is I've tired on the fact that there's basically two local material houses that, as Dylan said, Hunsador and HPM, and they provided the same type of house for 20 years, 30 years. And so I get tired of seeing the same old inventory. It's a great way to go because the idea is to streamline the process and streamline the permitting, the time frame, and to make things easier and to reduce cost overruns, unexpected cost overruns that come with doing custom homes. So now you do have to get all your materials bought from that material house company. If you're going through them, they do provide you, if you want to customize it, they have provide you with either the architect or some kind of engineer to help do those modifications. Me and a buddy of mine started looking into this. We were actually going to have, I actually went to HPM's plant over in Hilo and looked at their assembly portion, because you can actually get your entire walls put together here in the islands. And so when it gets delivered to the property, you're basically just standing up the walls for your framing. But we were also looking at doing different designs and bringing them into the islands so that we could have some more variety here, and potentially, offering that as a package and stuff. So there are pros to it. And there's also cons, but you're also limited to your options right now, unless you're going out of state. And then, okay, now you're adding the level of complexity. We even looked at delivering some of these portions of these homes in by container. And one of the things you got to be careful of when you're doing these walls, wherever you're doing them, and you're just going to stand them up, if your contractor's off by a little bit, okay, now you're re-engineering that whole wall panel that's been built and stuff. So anyway, that's kind of a long story, but yeah, it's an option.
Yep. Good stuff. Let's catch up on our comments before we kind of flip back. We have a couple of questions that are tied into this topic here. So Barbara says, are there many or any kid houses on Ocean View Estate where it's quite inexpensive? Dylan, quick answer on that one.
Yes, that is a place where this happens very often. You can get a piece of land for 15 grand, and then you can build. There's no restrictions on what you can build on it, and people do build kid homes there all the time. Very common.
Thanks. Great. So Barbara, reach out to us. There's if you haven't already, if you're not, I don't know if Barbara, if you're on the newsletter, then just hit reply. But if you're not, click on the links in the description. Get a hold of us. Get a hold of Dylan to kind of help. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The downside is there's not a lot of contractors that want to go out there to build it. So you might pay a premium for the work to get done, because it's an hour and a half away from where most of these carpenters are going to be living.
It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? Hawaiian Ocean View Estate. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere. Dave asked a question. Permits take a long time to get on the big on. Where do you live when being built? Very few rentals. I would say, Dave, get some housing. Do not, you can't camp on your property while it's being built. Dylan, you want to add anything to that one?
Yeah, that's a huge downside, right? When people want to build, I tell them, expect 12 to 24 months, conservatively. And so that's another big piece to this is, how long do you want to wait? How big of a project do you want? So that is a very big factor when you plan to do a buy and build type situation.
Yeah. Great topic. Thanks for bringing it up. It was a great discussion. Let's kind of move on over here. I got a couple. Well, first of all, Jim wants to know, so how much does the train cost? I forgot all about that. Thanks, Jim, for bringing that back up. Okay. So remember I said was originally a $2 billion estimate. Okay, gang, the correct answer is $12 billion as of now. It's going to probably be even more. But $12 billion.
It's not done yet. They're not done yet.
Not done yet. It's not running yet. And they're running into problems. They're finding defects in the construction. There's God knows what. My guess is that right about the time it'll be done and it'll be up and running is when it's going to start to rust out, because it'll be 20 years. It's got a 20-year lifetime. It's taken almost 20 years to build it. So right about the time it'll be done, it'll have to be torn down. So it'll be good. It's a great project. It's our favorite institution at work. To
inject more controversy, I saw that it would cost less to build a border wall all across the border to Mexico than it would to build the 15-mile train. So that's that. I thought that was a funny comparison.
There are so many comparisons. I mean, okay, last one, because this is one of my favorite hot topics. I did this analysis eons ago when the estimates were at $5 billion. Back then, I did the estimate, and it would be cheaper to buy a condo for each person that was going to be using the train. It'd be cheaper to buy them a condo and put the condo in town than have the train. So that's how much cheaper it would be. This is back when condos were going for $300,000. Okay. Anyway, on that suites issue, Scott, that's gotten some big shout outs. Auntie Joyce loves the guest suites. Very, very cool. Jeff Halverson has said the guest suites is common in the Tokyo market, often more high end than hotels. Very, very cool. Did not know that. That's kind of some neat stuff that's been popping up. And Barbara, yeah, kind of thought so. It's a long way from town. Yeah, Barbara, you're sort of in the middle of nowhere. You're in the middle of nowhere. And Kev pops in. I see new home listings around $950. How realistic is that price if it hasn't started yet, but the developer is selling the lot? How long would that take to build? That's from Kev, who's going to be in touch with Scott. Let's kind of take the one real quick. Scott, you want to? We got to get into our show's almost over already, but go ahead, Scott. What's how would you answer Kev's question quickly?
Yeah, I'm not sure I totally understand this. Is this a spec home where somebody's selling the lot and they tell you they'll build for a total purchase price, they'll build you the home as well? I mean, permitting on Oahu for a single family home could take you up to a year. Your minimum probably 6 months to a year. Then your build is probably a year. If it's not a huge custom home, could take 2 years. So, 2 to 3 years.
So, Kev, you want to talk to Scott because Scott's the man. He's gone through this agony of going through his build outs, and he could kind of clue you in on kind of where that's at. All right, let's move on. We have to. Show's almost over. It went really fast with some great discussions this week. All right, so it's time to go to our Diamonds and Diamond and Deals, where we have sort of fun, aspirational, inspirational properties. Let's hit this one here in Maui. This is the 352 Punakea Loop, 69-acre parcel with a cottage, barn, and 180-degree views. Oh my God. Heidi, what is this?
This is the ultimate site, I think, to build a luxury property. And to answer the question on where are you going to live while you build your dream home, there is 1,000 square foot cottage on this property already, which is really nice. There's also a barn, which is set up as living quarters, and it has a 3-car garage. This is 69 acres of ocean view land. And also a lot of work has already been done. There's a mile-long paved driveway, and the main building site, has already been leveled. So, it's really ideal for somebody that wants to come in and build something pretty spectacular and then still have the cottage. It has not been CPR'd, so you could divide this into 2 parcels and sell one of the parcels separately. There's just a lot of potential with this site. You have the West Maui Mountains in the backdrop, and then you're looking straight west, so you're going to have sunset views and views of the outer islands, Molokai and Lanai.
This is I'm kind of speechless on this one, but for those of you that for Dave who's looking, and Dave, hey man, like Heidi said, you don't have to worry about where you have to live, and like Dylan said, you have to just live on the barn in the 69-acre parcel. My goodness, that's beyond even a compound. Excellent, thank you, Heidi. What's up next here? We got Hillcrest home for 1.49. Which is this Big Island? Whose property?
Oh, this is me.
Okay,
this is Kailua. I picked this because Hillcrest is a little subdivision in Kailua that most people aren't familiar with. And Kailua is mostly flat, and there's a kind of a big hill, and Hillcrest runs up that hillside. So it's one of the few subdivisions that if you want views and you want to be able to get ocean views besides Lanikai, you can get it from Hillcrest, and you basically overlook all of Kailua. It's funny because doing this long enough, this happens a lot. We actually sold this home probably 5 years ago, so I'm very familiar with it. As you can see in the upper left, nice kitchen, and it has views out of there. It's hard to kind of see in that picture, but there's tile. There was an artist that owned the home and did all this custom tile work where he actually had the tiles created for the kitchen, and it has this kind of palm tree motif and whatnot that he put, which is still there. They didn't take it out, which is nice. But you have this really nice deck in the middle picture that looks out across Kailua. Great place to relax, and they had some nice custom features. It's about 2,400 square feet, 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and it's reverse living, so the bedrooms mostly are downstairs, but you do have yard space. You do have great views. It's a nice home for 1.45 in Kailua, which to me is about the going price for getting in on anything in Kailua that doesn't need a ton of work at this point.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of right in the middle there. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great, excellent. All right. Let's see. What do we got next here? We got some like amazing properties this week here. Seven bedroom, 4 bath, Waiono Meadows. Dylan, what's this?
You know what's funny is it's just like I'm competing with Heidi on this. We never coordinate these, but they're similar. This one's on 60 acres, so you can get 60 acres on the Big Island with a 5,600 square foot house, 7 bedrooms, 4 baths. It's actually got the main house in the front, and there's like a attached separate unit, Ohana type unit on it. It has a barn. It's got an infinity pool out front. That bottom left picture is like the outdoor kind of wet bar and kitchen that overlooks the pool, and just it's got a huge sweeping view that the pictures don't do it justice, but beautiful spot in Aloha, right above Kailua Kona town. So real accessible, you're like 10 minutes away from the airport. But yeah, killer property. Great deal. 3.7 million for 60 acres. It drops off right in front of the house, and then right below that is this huge flat area. You could build an arena on it if you wanted to do horses and stuff. I mean, you could literally have parking for a rodeo and a rodeo arena there on this one property. So beautiful spot.
That building looks like a resort hotel. It's just amazing. All right, gang. So all right, folks. What would you rather take? Would you take the 7 bedroom, 4 bath? How many acres, Dylan?
60 acres.
60 acres for 3.7, or do you do the 69 acres with a barn on it for 4.5 in Maui? What do you do? Which would you take? If you had to choose between the two, would it be this one or this one? That's what I'd like to know. Pop it in the comments. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to go into our closing motivational thoughts over here. Let me kind of do this while I hide the guy behind the curtain over here. All right. So, gang, it's been a great show. Let's kind of wrap this up. It's been fun as it usually is. I really love the fact that it's sort of there's a large part of it that's just kind of goes with the flow, which is so much fun. All right. So Jason says that Dylan wins it. All right. And of course, Auntie Joyce would take the above us, the home above us in Holualoa. So let's do our closing thoughts over here. Dylan, this is from last week, I think, right? So why don't you go ahead?
I totally spaced updating this.
No, it's all right. Yeah, it's all right, man.
Of course, I've always got something good off the top of my head. So
yeah, no, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought that slide up. Go ahead. Go for it.
All good. This past weekend, I went to a conference a couple weeks ago, and Tim Grover was there, who was the strength and conditioning coach to Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, a bunch of the greatest athletes, basketball athletes in our generation. And one of the things he talked about was how the greatest winners have the shortest memories, right? So, and it's a good mindset thing to remember that when you win, you got to forget quickly, so you start working hard for the next win. And when you lose, you got to forget quickly, so you can continue to focus on winning again. And I just thought that was a good way to think about life, is having a short memory. When something bad happens, if you miss a shot and you dwell on it for the rest of the game, you're going to have a terrible game. And when you win a championship, if you rest on your laurels and bask in the glory of winning for too long, you're not going to win a second one. So.
Excellent. You made me think of, for some reason, I popped in my head that scene from 50 First Dates at the very end when she wakes up each morning, and each morning is a brand new morning. She forgot whatever happened the previous morning. There's a little bit of bliss under that. Heidi, it looks like the Maui property is coming in here. We got everyone's loving the Maui property, but Norman wants the Big Island, and Kinaya wants the Kailua home. Kinaya, that one's got your name on it. Girl. It's right around the corner from Makapu, where we had our great meetup, where we mentioned in person. All right, let's see who is up next. I think Heidi's got her closing thought. Heidi, this is yours, right? Go ahead.
When your heart speaks, take good notes.
What does that mean to you?
To take time to be in touch with what you truly want, especially when making a big decision, is just take a moment to be quiet and think about, what you really want, what makes your heart sing, what's gonna be exciting, and just kind of being in touch with your true desires.
Take good notes, right? Take good notes. Well said, Heidi. Thank you. Excellent. Love these closing thoughts, by the way. I hope you guys, gang, there's a lot of you are still here. You guys like this? Should we continue with the closing thoughts? Should we skip it and talk more about real estate? You let me know what y'all think. I'm having a good time with it, but it's not about me. It's about you. Who's next? Scott. what's this and what's it mean to you?
Yeah, so when I saw this reminded me of my days working in the bar, and that's that kind of lifestyle, right? But the true kind of concept with this is life's hard, but if you can stay positive and look at the bright side of things, there's always great things to achieve, and that's kind of the biggest thing for me, is always trying to stay positive. Look at the opportunities that are out there and take advantage of them.
Looked at the stars, man. Looked at the stars. And Judy loves it. Thank you, Judy. Appreciate it. As does Auntie Joyce. Thanks, Kev, for the shout out, and glad that great. Good. I'm glad, Jason, because we're going to keep this up. Yeah, Scott, that's a great point, right? You may be in the gutter, but you need to be looking at the stars, because you need to, look where you're going to go. Patrick says, keep it. All right, good. We got it, gang. Thank you all. Love you. Bobby, we're just going to make the show fit. We are going to make the show fit. So if you had to do something else, tell us your favorite hike of the week. All right, that's a good question. We'll bring that up. But the closing thoughts are a big hit. Great. Excellent. Okay. Okay, so we're going to close with my closing thought. And of course, my favorite pastime here is to pull stuff from Proverbs that I really love. Here's a great one for me that I came across. Whoever pursues righteousness and kindness will find life and honor. And that almost kind of speaks for itself, right? Pursue righteousness and kindness, and you will find life and honor. Glad you all like it. Keep your thoughts nice to get your philosophy. Thank you all very much. All right, gang. I think that's it. Why don't we kind of let's go counterclockwise and say goodbye to everybody. Heidi, then Scott, and then Dylan. Oh, you're muted, Heidi.
Aloha, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Aloha, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, everybody.
All right, folks, it's been a great one as usual. Y'all take care. Oh yeah, by the way, in 2 weeks we're gonna shift the time. Same time for you, different time for us. We're gonna be an hour earlier because we're going to daylight savings time. All right, gang. Aloha.
Aloha.